What is going on? Welcome back to another episode of the Podium Pushers podcast with Justin and Brandon. It was only 1 week, but it feels like Formula One has been gone forever. But we're back. It is time to predict the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. The Baku City circuit is always a fan favorite. I am pumped that Formula One cars are back on track. Brandon, how the heck are you feeling?
I'm feeling great. I agree with you. It feels like it has been an absolute eternity since cars have been on track, but we're back. We are so back, and I'm excited.
We have never been more back, as some might say. I'm currently leading 35-32, and I know we're over halfway through the season, but it feels impressive that we both have over 30 points. Like, those feel like pretty high numbers to me. I'm excited to get some more points this weekend. Out of charity, I hope you get some more points too, maybe just not as many as me, but I feel like we should be impressed by how much we know wheel this season.
I know, I agree. It's been kind of crazy to see those numbers tick up. I feel like we're towards the end of the first half of the season. I really, in particular, started to slow down. I had a pretty significant lead at the beginning of the season, and then, you know, not some good predictions from me, but we're getting back on track, and hopefully we'll close the gap.
Yeah, we're gonna just ignore the fact that since the summer break, both of us has had a 0 point week. That's okay. That doesn't matter. Everything is getting back on track for both of us this weekend in Baku. Let's kick off our predictions with our driver of the weekend. Driver of the weekend for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, I've gone with Charles Leclerc. We have reached the point of the season, that stretch of races where I am ready for the Ferrari delusion to be here. I'm ready to go all in on Charles Leclerc. But this one I have evidence for. We know that Charles Leclerc thrives at Baku. This has always been a Charles Leclerc track. He's performed well there ever since he joined the sport. So I know the Ferrari's not great this season, but if there was ever a weekend that Charles Leclerc could deliver, I think Baku's the track. I'm going with Charles Leclerc as my driver of the weekend.
I think it's a great pick. He's had 4 consecutive poles here in a row. And even if you look back to last season, at this point in the season, last season, the Ferrari wasn't fantastic, but it was really kind of a turning point for Ferrari. And Charles got pole here last year, so it's definitely possible. My driver of the weekend, I'm going with Oscar Piastri, which seemed kind of like an obvious pick, and maybe it is. But I think Oscar is going to have a fantastic weekend. Again, if you look back to last year, I think this was kind of a breakout weekend for him. He won the race last year and did so in a pretty dominant fashion. So I think Oscar's going to have a great weekend.
Yeah, I think this was the race that put us all on notice last year. That was like, wow, Oscar Piastri has had an incredible stretch of European races. He chased down Charles Leclerc and earned that victory. So I think that's a great choice. Both of us looking back to the past, hoping to get some good vibes going into this weekend. I think we've made some amazing predictions. Back marker of the weekend, I've gone with Esteban Ocon. Haas have been incredibly inconsistent this season, and I just feel like this is one of those tracks that really isn't going to suit their car all that much. I would not be surprised if Esteban Ocon was knocked out in Q1. With it being Baku and it producing some crazy races, I would not be surprised if somehow Esteban Ocon just spawned in P7 at the end of the race and this prediction is totally void. But I'm going to hope that doesn't happen. I don't think Haas are going to perform well this weekend, so I've gone with Esteban Ocon as my back marker of the weekend.
Yeah, I think it's a good pick. I'm going with Lance Stroll for my back mark of the weekend. He last year again had a pretty horrible race here. And this really feels like a track where Lance does not thrive. I also think of Singapore as another one where Lance just really doesn't thrive. And you know what? That's okay. But hopefully it's another poor weekend from Lance.
Hey, some might say that Lance Stroll crashes a lot, and when the barriers are a little closer, he struggles a little bit. Some might say, it's not hating on Lance Stroll, it's just recognizing some patterns. That's all I'll say. Pole predictions for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. You knew it was coming. I have gone with Charles Leclerc. Who else could it be? 4 poles in a row. Yes, the McLaren is probably still the superior car by half a second over a lap. I do not care. Charles Leclerc, he's the best qualifier on the grid. He loves this track. He's so good at this track. He's taking pole this weekend. I can feel it in my bones.
Well, hopefully not. I'm going with Oscar Piastri. Oscar has shown that he is a fantastic qualifier this season, especially. I think he has stepped it up in that area. And, last year was a great year for him in Baku. So I'm expecting big things from Oscar this year.
Don't even act like there's not a little bit of Ferrari fan in you that wouldn't be happy if Charles Leclerc got a pole. You'd be happy. I can see
I'd be
right
very
through
happy.
you.
I'd be very happy.
Yeah, that's what I thought. That's what I thought. Our podium predictions for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix in P3, I have gone with Lando Norris. I didn't put him on pole. I'm kind of with you, feeling, this is a track that Oscar Piastri beat his teammate at last year pretty convincingly. But with how good the McLaren is, how good Lando Norris has been this season, even with some of those mistakes, it's hard for me in good conscience to leave him off the podium. So I've got to put him in P3.
I think that's a great pick. It's definitely possible. You're definitely right in seeing the little bit of Ferrari fan in me. That's why I've gone with Charles Leclerc for P3. I think that Charles is fantastic around Baku as well. So I'm putting him in on my podium at P3.
We've said all that needs to be said about Charles Leclerc, and I also have to put him on my podium for Baku. So that's why in P2 for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, I also have gone with Charles Leclerc. I don't think that Ferrari has the car to go pole to win. So we're just going to add to that Charles Leclerc pole to non-win stat this weekend. It's unfortunate, but that's just the way to go. That's just the way it goes when that team in red doesn't deliver for him. So I don't think Charles Leclerc will be able to win the race this weekend, but I'd be happy with the P2. That'd be good vibes. So I'm going to put Charles Leclerc in P2.
In P2, I've put Max Verstappen, which might be controversial somewhat. The Red Bull really surprised me last time out in Monza, and um, you know, that generally leads me to predict Max to do well in the following race, in which he'll probably finish P7 because that's just how it goes. But I think Max has done well around here in the past, and I think it's certainly possible that he gets podium.
Yeah, we're at the point in the cycle where we stop predicting Max Verstappen and then he wins, and then we start predicting him again, only for the win to be a fluke because the car is not good. It just goes in a circle with Max Verstappen predictions. I have not fallen for it this week. We'll see if you have as well. Who knows? Maybe for your sake, we can all hope that Max Verstappen finishes on the podium. In P1 for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, I've gone with Oscar Piastri. It is incredibly hard for me to predict against Oscar Piastri right now. He's got the championship lead. Momentum is on his side a little bit. I don't know how he's feeling after the team antics of Monza. If I had to guess what's going on behind the helmet of Oscar Piastri, he wants to win this weekend in a dominant fashion. We've seen him perform well here before, especially last year where he won here. So I think our Oscar Piastri P1 is certainly on the cards for this weekend.
I do too. I'm also going with Oscar Piastri. Um, I think, with everything that happened in Monza last week, Oscar really wants that bounce back win. He wants it done in dominant fashion. I think it's going to be a pull to win here in Baku for Oscar.
Yeah, I'm glad we both agree. If he DNFs, as always, we're sorry. That's just the way it goes sometimes. Our one push and prediction for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, I have predicted that a driver that qualifies outside the top three will finish on the podium. Baku is one of those tracks where we've seen crazy drives in the past where drivers who have been a little bit down the field in qualifying have come back to secure a podium, whether that be through crazy crashes, red flags, it being such an incredibly long straight that you can make some great overtakes if your car is fast in a straight line. So, we've seen a lot of races this year where overtaking is hard. It doesn't really work out. So I think this is bold enough for me to put it in this section. The driver that finishes or qualifies outside the top three is going to get a podium this weekend.
Yeah, I think that would shape up to be a great race, honestly, if that happened. Maybe all three drivers who are on the podium will qualify outside the top three.
That would be insane. Not great for our predictions this weekend, but would be insane for sure.
My one person prediction is about Lewis Hamilton. I think Lewis Hamilton is going to finish in the top 7 of every session this weekend. I know that seems a little risky with practice and all that, but I think it can happen. I think Lewis has had some success here in the past, and we'll have to see how it goes.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest, you're cooked. That's not happening. One P7. What a floor we've put on Lewis Hamilton. I mean, that is just depressing. From the heights of the greatest driver in Formula One, we're like, yeah, I hope he finishes top 7 in every session. Two, no shot that Ferrari manages to have him in the top 7 of every single session. I don't see it happening. I think there's no way you get that point. But it's good for me, but I can't see that happening in any situation.
Well, just you wait. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, so that means he's going to finish P8 in FP2 and just ruin your prediction. The fans have also given us some predictions for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. At I'd Rather Walk says no Ferrari podium. At GamerKid5342 says Max wins. And at Tokyo NSFW0 says Charles Leclerc podium. So some very specific predictions from the fans this weekend. Short, sweet, just how I like it. But I could see some of those coming true.
Yeah, it's possible that, well, not all of those, 2 of the 3 of those come true at the same time. So that'd be great.
Definitely have some contradictions in 2 of those predictions, so they can't all come true, unfortunately. That is all we've got for our predictions for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. As always, thank you for watching and listening to another episode of the Podium Pushers podcast. Before we get out of here, Brandon, what are your parting podium thoughts?
I'm excited to see racing in Baku. We're also getting closer to Austin, which we are going to see live and in person, which I am very excited about as well. So you probably knew that I was going to say that at some point if you have listened to any of our previous podcast episodes. But yeah, here we are, 2025. Excited for Austin.
Yeah, if there's one thing you can count on, it's that Brandon is excited for the race to come, and he's excited for the race in Austin. And you know what? I'm excited for those things too, and I'm excited for the rest of the year to get to experience it with all you guys. So be sure to like, subscribe, leave a comment, do all the things before you go. Thank you for letting us talk to you about Formula One. We will see you next week to react to the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. But until then, have a great day, and God bless.
See ya.